Welcome to 4th grade English Language Arts. I am Mrs. Gooch of Mark Twain Elementary. We have been reading the book Robert's Rules about a boy named Robert who goes to a summer camp. We used a tool to write down important information. We made our tool on a piece of paper. If you have not made this tool with us, make sure you have paper and something to write with. On one side of the tool, we wrote down words that are new or maybe very important. And on the other side, we have written down information about the characters. We've been learning about this character, Robert. We learned that he's worried because he doesn't know what to do at his camp. So he wants to know the rules at camp so he'll know what to do. He likes to worry about things. We're going to read more of Robert's rules and write down important details, but not just any details, key details. Let's read our learning target together. Ready? Begin. I will gather key details as I read a story. Key details are important information. There are different kinds of details in a piece of text. Key details and extra detail. Key details are very, very important pieces of the story that cannot be left out. If I tell you what Robert's Rules is about, I have to tell you certain details. If I leave a key detail out, then you won't understand what's happening in the story. An extra detail does help us understand the story, but we can tell the story without it. How will we know that we understand which details are key details and which details are extra details? This is how. Let's read our success criteria together. Ready? Begin. I can organize key details on a graphic organizer to show my understanding of a story. Graphic organizer is made up of two words. The first word, graphic, has a root word, graph. That means pictures and words. Ick means having to do with. So anything that is graphic means having to do with showing pictures and words. Organizer is a way to put information together so it makes sense. Graphic organizers are pictures and words that help us put the information together. This will be used to show what we know, our understanding. The graphic organizer we will make today on our tool will have 4 sections, and we will use them to record information about who the character is, where it is taking place, which we call the setting, and the plot, what happens in the story first, second, and last. Let's get our graphic organizer ready so we have a place to put our key details. On this side of your tool, underneath the character characteristics, let's draw a line. And then at the bottom, I would like you to save about 5 lines. So we're going to leave this space for next time. So we're using a section of the paper here. In this section, I need you to first draw a line down the middle. So now you have 2 pieces, and a line across this way. So you have 4 sections. In this top section, let's write the word somebody at the top. S-O-M-E-B-O-D-Y. Somebody. And then on the bottom here, write the word at. We're going to write down who is in the story, right? And at is going to be where's the story happening, the setting. This is where we put the character and setting. In this square, we're going to start writing about the plot or what happened. Put the word wanted up here in this corner. And then down in the middle, we're going to write the word but, B-U-T. In this third section over here, the word so, S-O. And finally over here, the word then. This is a trick to summarize or tell the short version of what happened in a story. It's a way to show someone you understand what the story was about. It goes, somebody wanted at, or somebody at wanted but so then. Somebody, who's the story about? It's about Robert. We can write his name in right now. Where is the story happening? At a camp. Robert at camp. What did Robert want? Did we write that down? He wants to know the rules at camp. Ooh. Wanted to know the rules at camp. Why didn't he know what to do at camp? Do you remember? He never went to camp before. We're going to read more of the story and then fill out a little more of our chart. Everyone has gone to their tents in order to choose what cot they're going to sleep in. Robert here is still feeling sad because he's not sure exactly what to do. His friend Spotty here is helping him out. You two had better stash your stuff. We're going to be late for the cookout, said the boy in the red cap. We're cooking hot dogs over an open fire. Hey, stop giving us commands, said Spotty. We don't have to obey anyone but Bruin. Bossing us around is his department. What is Spotty saying to the boy in the red cap when he says we don't have to obey anyone but Bruin, who's the counselor over here? What does that mean, obey? Have you heard anyone use that word before? Sometimes we say obey to mean you do what someone says. That could be a new word. Let's add it to our tool. Underneath the word nudge, let's write it right here. O-B-E-Y. Obey. There's a context clue here. Bossing us around is his department. This is on page 7. Let's write down what page it's on. Another way of saying do what someone says is follow directions. How else can we say the meaning for the word obey? You can do some of your own thinking. Let's draw a line underneath it and let's keep reading. Make it snappy, said Bruin, popping his head into the tent. Now we obey, said Spotty. The other boys laughed. Robert was too busy worrying about an open fire in the middle of the woods to laugh. Robert followed the other boys to the campfire. Bruin was there. He had already built the fire. "Excuse me," said Robert, "isn't it dangerous to build a fire in the woods?" "Yes, it's a little dangerous. That's why we have to follow all the fire safety rules," said Bruin. He pointed to a sign by the woodpile that said, "Campfire Rules." Robert read the sign carefully. He saw that Bruin was obeying all the fire safety rules. He felt better. They use the word obey again. Since we did some thinking about it earlier, now we understand what the author means by Bruin was obeying all the fire safety rules. He was following these rules. That helps Robert feel better. Campfire rules. 1. Build fire away from trees and tents. 2. Build fire inside a stone circle. 3. Keep water, sand, and shovel nearby. Pictures or illustrations in a text can also give us clues about what's happening. Here is Robert. Can you see by his face expression how he's feeling right now? Does he look happy to be at camp yet? How does Spotty feel? After lunch, Bruin showed the boys how to put out the fire. Then he said, "Time to go," and led the boys down toward the lake. "Where are we going?" asked Robert. "Canoeing," said Spotty. "I've never been in a canoe before," Robert said with a gulp. "Mm, don't worry, it's fun," said Spotty. Robert did worry. He didn't know how to paddle a canoe. He wasn't sure he could figure out how to do it. Let's remember our learning target. We're looking for key details to add to our graphic organizer. We need to find a key detail in what we just read to explain what Robert is doing about being afraid of not knowing what to do. How will we know the difference between key detail and extra detail? Let's have a look at what we just read and try it out. What we wrote so far on our tool is that Robert, who is at camp, wanted to know the rules at camp, but he never went to camp before. So, what is he doing about that problem? How will he solve that problem, not knowing the rules? What key detail is telling us what he's doing about it? Let's see. Is it here where he says, "Excuse me, isn't it dangerous to build a fire in the woods?" Does that sentence tell us what he's doing? It's explaining a little more about the kind of things that worry Robert, but it isn't telling us what he's doing about it. Let's see. Over here it says, Robert read the sign carefully. He saw that Bruin was obeying all the fire safety rules. He felt better. Do one of these sentences tell us what Robert is doing to solve his problem of not knowing the rules? Right here where it says Robert read the sign carefully. This is what he is doing to fix that problem. This is what is helping him feel better. Reading the rules. Let's write that down in our tool. Under so. So he read the rules. What kind of clues do we have in this picture about what is happening? It looks like these two are talking to each other. How are they feeling? Everyone else seems to be looking over here. I wonder what is happening in this part of the story. Bruin gave everyone a yellow safety vest. Spotty showed Robert how to get the canoe down from the rack and put it in the water. Come on, get in, said Spotty when he was set to go. Robert didn't want to get in. No way, it's not safe. We could have an accident. Don't be silly. If we fall over, we fall into the water, said Spotty. You have a safety vest on. I don't care. I'm not getting in, insisted Robert. The two boys argued so loudly that they began to draw an audience. What do you think it means that they draw an audience? Are they actually doing any drawing with a pen or a pencil or anything? No. What's an audience? An audience are people who are watching someone else do something, like an audience watching a play or a show. These boys in the back have become an audience, and they are watching these two have their argument. So that is an expression that means they are drawing people or bringing people close to them to watch them have an argument. What's up? Said Bruin, who had heard the noise. He won't get in the canoe, said Spotty. Robert looked up at Bruin, terrified that Bruin would make him get in. Have you heard that word before? Terrified? What does it mean that he is terrified? Have you ever heard anyone talk about someone is so terrified and it means they're really scared? Let's write that word in our word list. Terrified. This part of the word here is a root word. Terror. It means fear, being afraid. Terror is fear. Fied is a suffix that means made that way. Something is making him scared. He's been terrified, turned into someone who is afraid. This is on page 11. We can write very scared. Today's learning target was to look for key details, important details that we can't leave out if we're telling somebody about this story. We used our tool to organize some of the most important key details in the story. Somebody, Robert, who was at camp, wanted to know the rules at camp, but he never went to camp before. So he read the rules. What else do you think will help Robert to stop feeling so terrified? Next time, we will finish the story and use the key details to write a summary and do some thinking about what do we think of this story. Until next time, keep reading and find books you love every day. Welcome to 4th grade mathematics. I'm Mrs. Gooch of Mark Twain Elementary. Last time, we compared numbers using place value to determine how big the numbers were, to see which one was bigger, which one was smaller. Today, we are using that skill to understand place value better using multiplicative comparisons. Let's look at our learning target. Let's read our learning target together. Ready, begin. I will describe a multiplicative comparison to show the difference between different place values. In this number, 9,379, we have two different place values that have the same digit, 9. But we know from before that the value of this 9 and the value of this 9 are not the same. This sentence explains the 9 in the thousands place is 1,000 times more than the 9 in the ones place. So this one is 1,000 times bigger. Let's use our whole body to understand these math words. When I say multiplication or multiplicative, I mean equal sets put together. For example, if I say 10 times 3, that means 10 3 times. 3 equal groups of 10, equal because they're all the same groups of 10. And it would go 10, 20, 30. 10 times 3 is 30. So when I say multiplication or multiplicative, it's putting together equal groups. Let's try that together. Multiplication, putting together equal groups. What about comparing? Comparing is wondering which is bigger and which is smaller. Let's try that together. Comparing, which is bigger, which is smaller. Multiplicative comparisons. Putting together equal groups, which is bigger, which is smaller. Place value. When we talk about place value, we are saying the amount a digit is, how much it's worth based on where it is in the place value chart. How big is a digit? In the ones, which is on the right side, tens, hundreds, thousands. When you hear place value, you should think ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. It keeps going up and up, but let's remember that part. Place value, ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. Let's read our success criteria together. Ready, begin. I can write a multiplication equation to show a multiplicative comparison. An equation is an expression where the both sides are the same or equal. Equation, a multiplicative equation. We're going to use a multiplicative equation to show a multiplicative comparison. There are special words and symbols we use to talk about multiplicative comparisons. Before we said 9,000 is 1,000 times greater than 9. This is because 9 times 1,000 is 9,000. There's a way to write that sentence with math symbols and numbers. Here it is. I use these colored lines to color code so you can see what words are saying which symbol. 9,000 is, notice is and equals are the same thing. 1,000 times greater than. Times greater than is the same thing as multiplied by. So we use a multiplication symbol to represent times greater than 9. So again, if I'm reading this expression, this equation, down here it's an equation because there's an equal sign. I say 9,000 is 1,000 times greater than 9, or 9,000 equals 1,000 times 9. Let's practice this skill together. You will need something to write on, like paper, and something to write with. Let's take a look at a number on a place value chart. What number have I made here? How do you say this number? 8,242. I want to use this number because it has two digits that are the same, 2 and 2. But as we learned before, the value of these digits is not the same. What is the value of this 2 and what is the value of this 2? And how can we talk about what's different about them? We know they are the same digit. What is the value of this first 2? That's right. It's 2. But what about this 2? Right? It's 200. It is in the hundreds place. 2 hundreds is 200. But what about the multiplicative relationship between these two numbers? We would say 200 is it bigger than 2 or smaller than 2? Is it greater than or less than? This one. It's greater than. Write that down here underneath. I wrote it this way, 200 is greater than 2. And if I write that as an inequality, like we did before, there's my alligator mouth with a big part on the big number and a little part on the little number. If I make this into a multiplicative comparison, now I'm using multiplication to tell you about these two numbers. 200 is something times 2, right? What goes in that empty space? It's 100 times 2, or 2 times 100. So we would say 200 is 100 times greater than 2. Okay? Now, how do we write that as an equation? Write it with me. 200 is, we put equals, 100 times greater than 2. This shows the multiplicative comparison between 200 and 2. Remember, we need the correct mathematical words in order to describe or tell about a multiplicative comparison in order to show the difference between different place values. A number in the thousands place is going to be 1,000 times bigger than the same number in the ones place. Let's write a number together at the top of our paper. Again, we have two digits that are the same. I would like us to compare these two 4s with a multiplicative comparison. It's the same digit in two different place values. What is different about the value of each digit? Let's start with the value of this digit. And we'll write it over here. What is the value of this digit? Right, it's 40. Let's write that over here. And then on the other end, we'll write the value of this digit, 4. Now, let's use our symbols to write a multiplicative comparison between these two. If I was just saying less than or greater than, this is the bigger number. So I would draw that alligator mouth open towards the 40. But I am making a multiplicative comparison, which is written as an equation. 40 is equal to something times 4. What is the something that goes in this space? 10. This 4 is 10 times bigger than this 4. 40 is 10 times greater than 4. 40 is 10 times greater than 4. Let's write that sentence down. Let's write the word 40. It's good to practice writing the words for numbers. 40 is 10 times greater than times greater than. We can also say times more than 4. This is a sentence, so let me actually make this a capital. Do you ever capitalize your sentences? That's what you should do. 40 is 10 times greater than 4. 40 is 10 times greater than 4. Let's try one more. Which two digits are the same in this number? These two sevens. These are both sevens. What place value are they in? What is their value? What is the value of this 7? 7,000. What is the value of this 7? Now, if I just compare them, which is bigger and which is smaller, we can draw this symbol. This just means 7,000 is greater than 70. But I want a multiplicative comparison. So this is a little trickier. Let's write it out as an equation. Something times 70. What do you think can go here? We've got a handy dandy tool to do some thinking about it. Remember that if we've got 70 in the tens, it has to go 2 jumps over to get to the thousands. 1 jump over means we multiply by 10. But 2 jumps over means we multiply by 10 2 times. What is 10 times 10? It's 100. If we multiply 70 times 100, what will we get? Remember, 70 is already 7 times 10. But what happens if we multiply 70 times 100? 7,000. So it is times 100. 7,000 is 100 times 70. Let's write that on our sheet. Now, if we use the right words, we say 7,000 is 100 times greater than 70. Let's write that down. 7,000 is 100 times greater than 70. Have you met our learning target? Have you learned today how to describe with words a multiplicative comparison to show the difference between different place values? And have you learned to write a multiplication equation to show a multiplicative comparison between the same digits in different place values? We do this in real life too, don't we? If you have 10 dimes, you might know that that equals $1 because $1 is 10 times bigger than a dime. So we use this in real life. Next time, we are going to use our skills of comparing numbers and understanding place value to understand place value even deeper. Keep doing math every day and look for the math in everyday life.
Hola y bienvenidos a Matemáticas de Cuarto Grado en Español. Yo soy su maestra, la señora Saldana. Empezaremos la lección de hoy. Antes de empezar, vamos a necesitar algunos materiales para la lección de hoy. Los materiales son los siguientes: un lápiz, como este, y un papel, como este. No tiene que ser tan grande. Puede ser un papel de cuaderno con líneas o un papel blanco. Cualquiera de las dos está bien. Si tienes las notas de la lección anterior, puedes también usar esos. Si no, encuentra su hoja nueva y empezaremos la lección de hoy. ¿Listos? Pueden decir listos en voz alta cuando están listos para seguir. Perfecto. Seguimos. Primero vamos a alistar nuestro papel. Vamos a usar nuestro papel para tomar notas sobre la lección de hoy. Siguen estos pasos conmigo para listar su papel. Paso número 1. Dibuja una línea vertical en el medio de su papel. Eso quiere decir desde arriba hasta abajo. Número 2. Dibuja una línea horizontal en su papel. Eso quiere decir de un lado hacia el otro. Paso número 3. Numera cada caja 1 a 4. No importa el orden. Paso número 4. Escribe tu nombre y la fecha de hoy en la caja número 1. ¿Están listos? Acuérdense, pueden decir listos en voz alta cuando están listos para seguir. ¿Están listos? Perfecto, seguimos. El tema que vamos a cubrir hoy es multiplicación. Específicamente, multiplicando números de 3 y 4 dígitos con números de un dígito. Por ejemplo, 435 multiplicado por 4. ¿Qué es la respuesta? Eso vamos a averiguar en esta lección. El vocabulario académico que vamos a usar hoy es multiplicación y producto. Acuérdense que el vocabulario académico es vocabulario que no usamos cada día. Es algo que usamos en un lugar específico, como una clase de matemáticas. Cuando escuchen la palabra multiplicación, ¿pueden hacer algo con su cuerpo para representar esa palabra? ¿Tienen alguna idea de algo que pueden hacer para representar la palabra multiplicación con su cuerpo? Tomen un momento para pensar. ¿Cómo puedo representar la palabra multiplicación usando mi cuerpo y movimiento? Yo tengo una idea. Cuando yo escucho la palabra multiplicación, me hace pensar en el símbolo de X. Entonces, cuando yo escucho la palabra multiplicación, voy a hacer un X con mis dedos mientras digo la palabra. Multiplicación. ¿Pueden hacerlo conmigo? 1, 2, 3. Multiplicación. Perfecto, una vez más. Multiplicación. Buen trabajo. Y tenemos la palabra producto. Producto quiere decir la respuesta a un problema de matemáticas. La meta de aprendizaje de hoy. Eso quiere decir lo que queremos lograr aprender después de la lección de hoy. La meta de aprendizaje de la lección de hoy es, léelo conmigo. Practicaré la multiplicación de números de 3 a 4 dígitos usando lo que sé sobre el valor posicional y modelos útiles. Perfecto. Seguimos. Empezamos a repasar los modelos útiles con productos parciales. En sus notas, en caja número 1, pueden escribir el título Productos parciales. Con esta estrategia, multiplicamos cada dígito de los dos números considerando el valor posicional de cada dígito. Mira este ejemplo en mi pantalla. 324 multiplicado por 9. Mira el ejemplo en mi pantalla de abajo. ¿Cómo usamos productos parciales y lo que sabemos sobre el valor posicional para hallar la respuesta a este problema? Primero, tenemos 324 multiplicado por 9, escrito en la forma estándar. Primero, solo quiero multiplicar 9 por 4, enfocándome en mis unidades y escribiendo mi respuesta debajo de la línea. Luego, me voy a mover a mis decenas y multiplico 9 por 2. Aquí, en este ejemplo, lo han escrito 9 multiplicado por 2 decenas. Pero yo sé que 2 decenas es igual que 20. Entonces sé que multiplicar 9 por 2 me da 18. agregando un 0 me da 180. Lo escribo debajo de 36. Luego me muevo a mis centenas. Aquí multiplico 9 por 3, como en este ejemplo. Yo sé que 3 centenas es lo mismo que decir 300. Entonces, sé que tengo que multiplicar 9 por 300. Y lo escribo debajo de 180. Escribo mi respuesta de 2700. Y agrego todos mis números mostrando los diferentes valores posicionales. Y me da mi respuesta, 2916. Esto es lo mismo que representar la respuesta de 2916. Solo es un diferente modo de hacerlo. Toma un momento para escribir notas sobre este ejemplo en caja número 1 en su papel. Pueden decir en voz alta, listo, cuando están listos. ¿Escucho listos? Seguimos. Otro modelo es bloques de base de 10. Aquí podemos mostrar cómo hallar la respuesta a la pregunta de 157 multiplicado por 3, usando bloques de base de 10. Por ejemplo, miren la matriz a la derecha. Usa los bloques de 10 para mostrar cómo hallar la respuesta. Aquí tengo mis centenas. Sé que cada caja de aquí muestra el valor de 100. Estoy multiplicando 100 por 3. Cada columna muestra el valor de 10. En cada fila tengo 5, que representa 50, que también voy a multiplicar por 3. Luego tengo mis unidades. Sé que cada unidad quiere representar 1, y aquí tengo 7. También lo multiplico por 3. Luego puedo agregar cada valor posicional. Puedo contarlo uno por uno o puedo sumarlo. Igual, puedo encontrar la respuesta a la problema de 157 multiplicado por 3 usando mis bloques de base de 10. Toma un momento para escribir notas sobre bloques de base de 10. Pueden decir listos cuando están listos. ¿Listos? Seguimos. El último modelo que vamos a repasar hoy es modelo de área. Usando la idea de la forma expandida, podemos multiplicar números grandes usando modelos de área como este ejemplo de aquí abajo, en mi pantalla. Aquí, recuérdense que en la forma expandida estamos rompiendo los números grandes para mostrar cada valor posicional que incluye ese número. Aquí el número que estamos multiplicando grande es 1125. Entonces estoy rompiéndolo en sus partes y estoy mostrándolo usando este rectángulo y rectángulos más pequeños adentro del rectángulo grande. Puedo escribir el número más grande encima de mis cuadros y el número más pequeño va a la izquierda. Es el número que voy a usar para multiplicar mi número más grande. Como los bloques de base de 10, puedes sumar los números en total para hallar la respuesta a este problema de multiplicación. Toma otro momento para copiar este problema en sus notas como un ejemplo para más tarde. Pueden decir listos cuando están listos para seguir. ¿Listos? Perfecto, seguimos. Aplícalo. ¿Cómo podemos hallar la respuesta a 342 multiplicado por 4? Muestra tu trabajo. Aquí vamos a intentar usar el modelo de producto parcial para mostrar nuestro trabajo para hallar la respuesta a este problema de multiplicación. Pueden copiar lo que yo ya he hecho aquí en la pantalla en sus notas en caja número 3. Si han escrito en esta caja, pueden escribirlo en otra caja o donde tienen espacio en sus notas. Les doy un momento para escribir el problema. ¿Están listos? Pueden decir listos. Perfecto. Acuérdense que primero, cuando estoy usando el modelo de productos parciales, que quiero escribir el problema de matemáticas o multiplicación, en la forma estándar. El número más grande encima del número más pequeño, como lo tengo aquí. Usando el modelo de producto parcial, voy a empezar con mis unidades. Multiplico 4 por 2. Aquí lo muestro como nos ha mostrado el ejemplo. Eso me da la respuesta de 8. Lo escribo debajo de la línea. Luego me muevo a mis decenas. Estoy multiplicando 4 por 4, pero yo sé que 4 por 4 actualmente quiere decir multiplicar 4 por 40. Y escribo mi producto abajo de 8, 160. Finalmente voy a multiplicar mi 4 por mis centenas, que aquí serían 300. Aquí lo tengo escrito 4 por 3. Pero yo sé que eso me quiere decir que estoy multiplicando 4 por 300, que me da 1200. Lo escribo debajo de mi otra respuesta, 160. Luego, quiero sumar todos los números de aquí, abajo de esta línea nueva, para encontrar mi nueva respuesta. Toma un momento para escribir esto en sus notas y encontrar la respuesta a este problema. Cuando están listos, pueden decir listos en voz alta. ¿Están listos? ¿Qué sería la respuesta a este problema? Si quiero sumar todo esto, sumaría 8 más 0 más 0. Bajaría 8 aquí. Me movería aquí. No tengo nada encima. Solo bajo 6. 6 más 0 es 6. Puedo escribir 6 debajo de esta línea. 1 más 2, 3 debajo de esta línea. Tengo que escribir mi coma, entonces bajo mi coma. Finalmente tengo 1. Bajo mi 1 porque no hay nada más. Y aquí tengo mi respuesta, 1368. ¿Tienen esa respuesta también? Perfecto, seguimos. Aquí voy a mostrar cómo usar el modelo de área para encontrar la respuesta a 6 multiplicado por 175. Toma un momento para copiar este modelo de área en sus notas. Vamos a usarlo para hallar la respuesta a este problema de multiplicación. ¿Están listos? Perfecto. Acuérdense que aquí tengo en diferentes colores los diferentes valores posicionales que representan los números. Arriba de mi rectángulo tengo el número más grande y al lado izquierda tengo el número que voy a usar para multiplicar mi número más grande, 6. Adentro de las cajas tengo cómo se miraría el problema de multiplicación de estos dos números. Por ejemplo, en mi valor posicional de centenas, tengo 6 multiplicado por 100 y mi respuesta aquí abajo. Luego tengo 6 multiplicado por 70 y mi respuesta aquí abajo también. Y 6 multiplicado por 5, mi respuesta aquí abajo también. Luego quiero sumar mis respuestas de aquí abajo para encontrar un producto total. Eso va a ser el producto del problema de multiplicación de 6 multiplicado por 175. Toma un momento para tomar notas sobre esta pantalla y encontrar el producto de este problema. Pueden decir listos cuando están listos. ¿Listos? Perfecto. ¿Cuál es la respuesta? Yo tengo 1050. ¿Es la misma respuesta que tienen ustedes? Perfecto. Seguimos. El último modelo que les voy a mostrar es bloques de base de 10. Voy a usar los bloques de aquí en mi pantalla para hallar la respuesta a 152 multiplicado por 2. Primero, voy a usar mis centenas para mostrar 100 multiplicado por 2. Yo sé que esta caja quiere mostrar 100 y necesito multiplicarlo por 2. Solo necesito uno más. Yo sé que cada columna muestra 10 y lo estoy multiplicando por 2 y necesito 20. So, voy a copiar. 1, 2. Luego tengo 5 unidades. So, tengo que copiar 5. Ahora que tengo todas mis unidades, los tengo que multiplicar por 2. Aquí ya empecé con mis decenas. So, sé que tengo 200 decenas. Más 20 multiplicado por 2, que sería 40. Y mis unidades de 5 multiplicado por 2, que sería 10. So, necesito copiar 2 más de mis columnas de 10. Y 5 más unidades de 1. Y ahora los puedo contar en total. Tengo 250. Si no tienes bloques de 10 en persona, este modelo tal vez sería un poquito difícil. Pero si tienes los bloques de 10, entonces los puedes usar para contar en persona. Aquí hay más práctica. Toma un momento para escribir estas preguntas en tu papel para practicarlos más tarde. 4 multiplicado por 167. 2 multiplicado por 1296 y 9 multiplicado por 490. ¿Están listos? Pueden decir listos cuando están listos para seguir. Perfecto. Toma un momento para reflexionar sobre el aprendizaje de hoy. ¿Sientes que lograste cumplir la meta de aprendizaje de hoy? ¿Te acuerdas de la meta de aprendizaje de hoy? Léelo otra vez conmigo. Es las palabras en morado en la pantalla. Practicaré la multiplicación de números de 3 a 4 dígitos usando lo que sé sobre el valor posicional y modelos útiles. Tu tarea sería encontrar tiempo para practicar multiplicando números de 2 y 3 dígitos. Eso es todo lo que tengo para ustedes el día de hoy. Muchas gracias y buen trabajo. Les veo otra vez.